Hello, BookTube. Well, just a quick video for you today. I got a very small mail shipment this afternoon, and I thought that's about all I feel like doing, so I thought we'd go through it together. Uh, it's just 3 packages, but who knows what's in them? I have no idea. I'm so out of the loop on my own requests that I don't even know what to expect. And so as not to load things, I will not look at the return addresses, so that we'll be surprised together. Okay, first one is from Oxford. It's due in May. It's called The Dark Side of the Moon, or Eclipse, Journey to the Dark Side of the Moon, by Frank Close. Nothing to show you as far as the cover goes. Oxford's reader copies are always just bare bones, the way everybody's reader copies used to be. I remember when that changed. I remember right about when publishers started putting color cover art on their reader advance copies. So it struck me as very strange. But understandable, since it's a cost-saving method, I'm sure. Okay, what is this about? On August 21st, over 100 million people will gather across the USA to witness the most-watched total solar eclipse in history. It's true, I read it on the news. This book, by popular science author Frank Close, describes the spellbinding allure of this beautiful natural phenomenon. The book explains why eclipses happen, reveals their role in history, literature, and myth, and introduces us to eclipse chasers, who travel with ecstatic fervor, that's one way of putting it, to some of the most inaccessible places on the globe. The book also solves the author's quest to solve a 3,000-year-old mystery. How did the moon move backward during a total solar eclipse, as claimed in the Book of Joshua? I think of one explanation right off the top of my head. It would be that it didn't. The Book of Joshua is a myth. It's a book of myths. So why have a lifelong quest to determine how on earth something in it could happen? Might as well have a lifelong quest to figure out how a nymph could transform into a tree while being chased by the god Apollo. I mean, did her corpuscles become, leaves? Her skin became bark. That's what Ovid says. But we don't know how scientifically accurate he is. But provided he's not overdoing it on the personal quest element, the science in here could be good. It's awful tiny, though. I am an enormous enthusiast of the moon. As silly as that must sound. I love it. I've read a lot about it, and I have a feeling that this is going to mostly disappoint me, but we'll see. Could be lively done. The next one is much bigger. Oh. Okay. This is due. It's due in late October. Okay, so this had trouble getting to me. It's called Sunborn by W. Michael and Kathleen O'Neill Gear. Its subtitle is A Novel of America's Forgotten Past, and that could apply to almost everything they've written. They've written a huge number of books about prehistoric America. Look at the size of that list. It's enormous. I've always liked them. I think the books are uniformly good. I don't know why this series persists in the mid-range. It's never become overwhelmingly popular. They've never had to the best of my knowledge, never a television adaptation of anything. They're never talked about. They just have a deal with their publisher, and they just keep going. They just keep bringing out these books, and people like them, but I never hear anybody talk about them. You'll have to let me know in the comments field if any of you are fans of these books. I like them a lot, and I've also learned a lot from them. And then we've got this last one here. And what is this? This is by Laura McNeil. It's a novel called The Practice House. She looks troubled, doesn't she? This comes out on April Fool's Day. It has a blurb from Lily King, the author of Euphoria. So Laura McNeil has been a finalist for the National Book Award for her young adult novel Dark Water. And now for the first time she sets her sights on literary fiction. Weaving a heartfelt and entertaining story that will conjure the very best Depression-era fiction, she created a feisty, forward-thinking heroine who gives an outsider's perspective to the heartbreaking devastation of the time. Like Jo March, Nora Helmer, Hester Prynne, Aldine is a character you root for. Okay. All right. Jo March is the heroine of Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. And Hester Prynne is the heroine of The Scarlet Letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne. I don't mean to be cynical. I'm not completely sure. Well, you never know. You can never tell. Feeling restless and out of place living with her sister and brother-in-law, Aldine answers an advertisement soliciting a teacher for a one-room schoolhouse in rural Kansas. That never ends well. What she doesn't realize is that in the Midwest, farms have already begun to fail. Schools don't have enough money either to pay or house teachers, so Aldine must live with the family of a married man who advertised for a new teacher, Ansel Price. But just as Aldine begins to settle into her new life in the Great Plains and she and Ansel fall in love despite their best intentions, Aldine's future is suddenly put in jeopardy. Okay. All right, well, The Practice House comes out in April, so I have a while to get to it. I have a ton of stuff coming up immediately to wrap up the year, so everything in 2017 is temporarily on hold until I can finish off everything in 2016. I want to hit an all-time personal high for reading in 2016, and I also want to be able to say at the end of 2016 something that I said at the end of 2015, that roughly speaking, for the first time in my life, I managed kind of, sort of, probably closer than anybody I know, to keep even with reading, with the reading world, with the publishing world. Not in terms of the vast majority, the 70,000 books every year of a general interest category, nothing like that. But in terms of the noteworthy stuff, the stuff that had the most talk behind it, got the most reviews behind it, got the most critical consideration, the stuff that I guess the easy way to say it looked the best, and to see whether or not it was the best. Just the greatest biographies, certainly the greatest histories, as much of the greatest fiction as I could stomach. Nature, contemporary poetry that has big name publishers. I can't go after the chapbooks. I don't know enough. Science, that sort of thing. I like at the end of the year, now that I don't do anything else, now that I have no other excuse, I like at the end of the year to be able to say, well, okay, the major titles in the 10 genres that I love, I read them all. I didn't read just some of them. I didn't mean to get to some of them. I read them all. And reviewed quite a few of them. And that's what I want to say. I want to be able to say at the end of the year that I had full engagement with the book world of 2016. And then I will, of course, commemorate that full engagement with my raucous end of the year list on my literary blog, Steve Reads, where I do the best and worst books of 2016. And this will be the 10th time that I have done it. And it's... I'm hoping going to be just as disputatious as ever. But we shall see. I have heard all sorts of unconfirmed rumors about the way that people in the publishing industry view this list. Started out as a blip on their radar, and now it's a little bit bigger for some of them. They want to know, they want to make the list, and they especially don't want to make the part of the list that I include that most people don't. The New York Times, the Chicago Tribune, the Wall Street Journal. They'll all give you best books of the year, but they won't give you worst books of the year, and I do. I don't give you worst books of the year in all categories. I do about 10 categories. Then I get to the big four. Best fiction, best nonfiction, worst fiction, and worst nonfiction. And I have a blast doing it. I hope you'll all enjoy it. I'm going to have to figure out what I will do corresponding to that on here on BookTube. I'm going to have to commemorate the end of the year somehow. I just don't know how I'm going to do it. But we'll figure it out together. We can talk about it in the comments field. And I email plenty of you anyway, so I'm going to go for now. If I can, I'll make a second video today. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you, BookTube.